Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Point of View with Shirley Polk. It's a wonderful day, and I thank God for another day. He's good. He's good. And there's a slogan that said, God is good all the time. All right. We are in Point of View with Shirley Polk, and we're talking about love today. And I had been wanting to do this again. I don't think I've ever done this topic, well, not the topic, but this particular piece uh, on the web, but I did it. I spoke in Denison years ago at one of the district um, meetings that I called as a district missionary, one of my visitations. I should put it like that. And it's so interesting because love does have an effect on us, and it affects us in different ways. It really does, and it has many things to do with our well-being physically and mentally. And so I want to just do this, and I thought it was longer than this, but maybe not. But it was put on here, this site, which is ScienceDaily.com, in 2014. But I remembered this particular piece because it's so interesting to me. And it is what falling in love does to your heart and brain. What falling in love does to your heart and brain. And this was posted in February of 2014, as a matter of fact, February the 6th, 2014. And the source, it came from the Loyola University Health System, and the summary of it is getting stuck by Cupid's arrow may very well take your breath away and make your heart go pitter patter. This, and it says this Valentine's Day. So reports sexual wellness specialist of Loyola University Health System. And it's not a very long piece, but it's very interesting and it is true. Okay, so falling in love causes our body to release a flood of feel good chemicals that trigger specific physical reactions, said Pat Mumby, who is a PhD, also the co-director of Loyola Sexual Wellness Clinic and professor. And then she's Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Neurosciences and Loyola University Chicago Stritch School of Medicine. And so this internal elixir of love is responsible for making our cheeks flush, our palms sweat, and our hearts race. We're talking about what falling in love does to your heart and your brain. And one thing that I learned from this piece many, many, many years ago when I first came upon it and I presented it is that we have no control over who we fall in love with. And if someone falls in love, we have no control of who falls in love with us. But now we have to control ourselves and our emotions because the feelings might not be mutual and they might not be proper. They might not be right. Okay, so that means that we have to do our part. But if somebody falls in love with me, I cannot do anything about that. But if it's not to be, I'm not to encourage it because it would be wrong for me to encourage it if it's not for me. And then the same thing with someone else. I can't control who falls in love with me. I cannot do it. And then if it's an unhealthy thing, then I have to take measures to protect myself as well as someone protecting themselves. If I should do something unhealthy or act unhealthy in a way if I'm in love with somebody, God forbid, okay? Don't want to do it, all right? And so, anyway, we can't control who loves us and who we love, but we have to make sure that we keep things in perspective and in control physically, okay? So that means that we have to pray and we have to fast sometimes, and we have to work. We might have to get some psychological counseling or something if it overwhelms us. Okay, if it comes to a point of danger for us and or the other party. All right. So what falling in love does to your heart and brain physically. Okay. Now, we talked about Dr. Mundy. So levels of these substances, which include dopamine, adrenaline, and norepinephrine, okay? Norepinephrine, okay? Increase when two people fall in love. Now, dopamine creates feelings of euphoria, while adrenaline and the norepinephrine are responsible for the pitter patter of the heart, restlessness, and overall preoccupation that go along with experiencing love. So there are three factors here. So now we're getting into the scientific part of it. MRI scans indicate that love lights up the pleasure center of the brain. When we fall in love, blood flow increases in this area, which is the same part of the brain implicated in obsessive compulsive behaviors. Are you listening to this? All right. Now, you just don't just say I'm in love. I'm in love. There's a reason for you to fall in love, and there are sources and there are things that happen in your body and in your brain when you fall in love, okay? So love lowers serotonin levels, which is common in people with obsessive compulsive disorders, said Mary Lynn, who's a DO, who's a co-director of the Loyola Sexual Wellness Clinic and assistant professor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. So this may explain why we concentrate on little other than our partner during the early stages of a relationship. See, these things, I like to present things that can help us. Because many of us need help, and well, we all need help. We need to understand. And all thy getting, get an understanding. Why am I feeling like this? Well, this is one of the reasons. These could be some of the reasons that you feel like this, okay? So doctors caution that these physical responses to love may work to our disadvantage. The phrase, love is blind, is a valid notion because we tend to idealize our partner and see only things that we want to see in the early stages of the relationship, Dr. Mumby said. Outsiders may have a much more objective and rational perspective on the partnership than the two people involved. So people outside can see things happening that we can't see because love is blind in the beginning, okay? And sometimes all throughout the relationship. That's why so many people still live in toxic relationships, all right? Now, there are three phases of love, which include lust, attraction, and attachment. Lust is a hormone driven phase where we experience desire. Blood flow to the pleasure center of the brain happens during the attraction phase when we feel an overwhelming fixation with our partner. Now, this behavior fades during the attachment phase when the body develops a tolerance to the pleasure stimulus. Now, endorphins and hormones, vasopressin and oxytocin, also flood the body at this point, creating an overall sense of well being and security that is conducive to a lasting relationship. And so, this is from the uh, Loyola University. And it seems that it was longer than this, but I'm not going to go any longer. I've gone just a few minutes. I don't think I've been doing 10 minutes yet, have I? No, it's 9 minutes and 4 or 5 seconds right here. But what falling in love does to your heart and brain. Take this to heart. Pay attention. We cannot control who falls in love with us, and we cannot control who we fall in love with. We can't keep ourselves from falling in love, but if we have to get some professional help after we pray, fasted about it, if it's detrimental to us and the other person or the other person and us, then we need some help, okay? So love affects the brain and the heart physically. And oh yes, this is shorter because it had broken it down and it was saying how the difference in men and women and their reactions and what takes place, like if one spouse dies, how it affects the man, and the lifespan of the man versus the lifespan of a woman if her spouse dies, and it just breaks it down. So I will find that piece and I will present the rest of it. And it could be a totally different piece, but it works with this one. This is Point of View with Shirley Pope right here on the World Wide Web, 214-403-7563, the Point of View 1 at yahoo.com.